there was a question that came in from a new client, and I just thought it was interesting. It's Scott Lumpkin, Cyber Safe Inc. And the question he asked me was, other than the key factors of consistency and hard work, what are the common themes that you find in the most successful MSPs? Is it a character trait or a personality type? He also said his puppy is cuter, and he put a Facebook reference. So I don't know, man, my puppy's pretty dang cute. But let me answer his question. So I have been working with MSPs for 2 decades now, and all shapes, sizes, situations, backgrounds, countries, you name it, from brand new startups that didn't have 2 nickels to rub together to well-funded venture venture-funded MSPs, people who are, the bulk of the industry is under $1 million in revenue, been in business for like 11 years. That's the average. And I've worked with clients who came to me flat broke and now are 40 million. Like you take someone like a Satima Fowler, who when she first came to me, her and her husband were trying to get their MSP off the ground. She was working a full-time job because she needed the income because the MSP wasn't going anywhere. And she was hardcore. I'm an engineer and, I can't do this. And now she's a fabulous, fabulous entrepreneur, salesperson, marketer. And Iconic IT is in the $40-50 million range. So, I've seen it all. So I can tell you there are certain characteristics, and of course we have to do hard work, right? But I can tell you there's a lot of MSPs out there that do work hard. They're not lazy and they're not stupid, and they're putting in a full day and multiple hours. And so hard work is absolutely necessary, but it's not a guarantee. I think one of the biggest things is for MSPs in particular, it really is mindset stuff that causes them to trip. So they are like Michael Gerber's E-Myth kind of nails it, right? They are technicians suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. So somebody decides they're pretty good at fixing computers. Maybe they, maybe they did that for another MSP. Maybe they worked somewhere that they were doing IT support. Maybe, they just kind of evolved in it, decided, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago that they were going to start getting into IT. Who knows? Somehow they find themselves running an IT services company, right? And what they're trying to do is basically replace their income and be their own boss. It's like, and so they get started, they hire a bunch of techs to help them. And that's kind of where it ends. Maybe the wife is typically going to be the admin, marketing manager, and everything in between. Husband's the tech. They hire a couple engineers, and that's kind of it. And it's not that they're lazy or don't work hard, but it's just that they don't see themselves as entrepreneurs. They don't see themselves as a business owner, because being a real entrepreneur that is growing an IT services business is a different role than just being a tech, right? So, an entrepreneur is sitting there going every day, waking up, how do we generate more revenue? How do we get more customers? How do I grow a team of people who can do the work, not me doing the work? Where the tech is kind of going, how do I do the work better, faster, cheaper? I don't want to invest in salespeople because they're expensive. What's the cheapest marketing I can do? What's the least expensive way to generate leads? That's so the difference really for those who grow and succeed and make money is they have ambition, honest ambition to grow, and they think more entrepreneurially. They're focusing. They're trying to take as much as they can off their plate, hiring an admin, hiring engineers, hiring leaders in the company, paying them, and they're focused on growing the business. They take on the role as chief marketing officer, head of sales, that's their focus, right? Not in doing the work. And then they start getting better at hiring people, managing people, teams, understanding the financials of the business, running the business end of the business. Sales and marketing is what's going to drive you there, really. I mean, because the one good thing about an MSP for most of you is you don't have a lot of churn. And so if you get a customer, you keep a customer. Other businesses don't have that. And so that being the case, if you're small, your 100% effort should be in just getting more new customers and then getting people to do the work. And again, if you ask me, what's the difference? That's it. The character trait is you got to switch your mindset from being the tech who does the work to being the entrepreneur that runs the business. And a while ago, several years ago, I looked up on Wikipedia the definition of an entrepreneur, and it has since changed, but I think it was better back then. And the definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who stands as an intermediary between capital and labor for profit. And it's not somebody who labors for profit. It's not somebody who does the technical work. It's the intermediary, between capital and labor for a profit. And that's where you got to be. And that's going to require you to stop doing the technical work that you love. That's going to require you to learn how to hire and manage people. That's going to require you to really get serious about sales and marketing, picking a target market, developing a CRM, marketing automation platform, list building, list nurturing, lead generation. You got to learn those things. You got to hire people to help you with those things, but you've got to take control and you've got to lead it. That's what part of it at the Fall Roadshow that I'm going to be talking about at the itmarketingroadshow.com. If you go out there, the 7 steps to 7-figure earning, to get to where you're earning 7 figures, you got to be very entrepreneurial in your thinking. You've got to be driven. You've got to have an honest ambition. None of it's going to be easy. None of it. In no way, shape, or form. Anyone who comes and tries to sell you shortcuts and easy buttons, it's bullshit. Running and growing an IT business is hard. It's difficult. It's complicated. You're going to run into roadblocks. You're going to have to do multiple things simultaneously. Not let me just get operations working, then I'm going to work on sales and marketing, or let me just get the marketing going, then I'm going to work on hiring salespeople. Doesn't happen. You got to work on these things simultaneously. And if you don't have the honest ambition to make more money and grow that business, you're not going to get it done, because you're always going to find an excuse. I mean, that's the whole saying, right? If it's important to you, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. It's as simple as that. So your question, Scott's a really good one. And you've got to look yourself in the mirror and say, do I have honest ambition in order to take on the complexity, to take on a lot of uncertainty, making calls and doing things that I'm not good at, to look like a fool in a sales meeting because I don't know how to sell, and be okay with that, because that's this first step in learning anything, is being uncomfortable and doing it awkwardly and doing it wrong until you get to master it. And again, what most people do is they don't even get into it. They never even start. Or if they start, the minute it gets complicated and they're uncertain and they feel uncomfortable, they back off and they go back to their comfort zone. Well, you're not going to grow that way. Not ever. Never. That's why 80%, it's 76%, but I think it's more like 80 because I think some people lie, but 76% of this industry never breaks the $1 million mark. And they're making $70,000 a year. Maybe they're making $150,000 a year. They're basically making a salary and they're not getting anywhere. And then they're in that mode for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. They want to retire and they don't have retirement money and they can't sell it for shit because it's not worth anything. And, they realize it when it's too late. So it's a great question. Personally, even me growing up my business, which I swore I'd never have more than 10 employees. And I've got clients who've been with me forever and remind me of that routinely. I had to get over myself and say, this is a skill you need to learn. And yeah, you're going to take risk. And yeah, you're going to make wrong calls. But the payoff is not just the money you make, it's who you become. It's what you learn. It's how you develop yourself. And so one thing, Scott, I would really recommend you do is get to that Roadshow event, itmarketingroadshow.com. Not only am I going to give you that blueprint to making a 7-figure income, but I think it's going to unlock a lot of this mystery of, what's the character trait between those who are successful in our industry and those who don't make it. And they're not making a lot of money and they're kind of settling, which is really pathetic. They settle for whatever comes their way and they tell everyone that they're happy with it, and they're really not. They're just, they're pretending to themselves, although, you can't lie to yourself because you know yourself. So itmarketingroadshow.com. Scott, great question. Thanks for asking it. Make sure you get registered.